Short answer, no. No.
That's so fair.
Let's get into that. Well, first of all, who are you? This isn't Isaac.
Where am I? Someone let me out. I'm James. I use he, they pronouns. I am a Twitch streamer and YouTuber. I've only made one video so far, but I'm working at it. And I am very honored to be here today on the Dimension Bros channel.
So, okay. If you haven't seen Carmen Sandiego, there should have been a spoiler warning before this, but obviously spoilers for like all of it. And I'm going to talk about a lot of other things too, comparing it. So I guess hopefully I would have put spoilers for everything I'm about to spoil. But basically, season 4 came out a few days ago and we have some thoughts. So like, I pretty much just know of Carmen Sandiego, the cartoon. I just saw it recommended to me one day and I watched it. What is your like background with Carmen Sandiego?
So one thing that I do a lot on my Twitch streams and also just like in my personal life, I really like old video games. My favorite video games are from the era of like early 90s to 2008 or so, like something like that. And so when I was younger, I played Carmen Sandiego video games. If you told me to summarize all of them right now, I could not, but I remember the general plot, and because they were educational and I'm a nerd, I like educational video games. That was my introduction to Carmen Sandiego. So watching the cartoon, I watched it with my boyfriend. It was very interesting because it took kind of a step back from the educational part of the video games, still sort of there, but it was a lot more about Carmen Sandiego's background, which is very interesting to me. But I also have some issues with it.
And I have many issues with it. I guess, well, my background is I am someone who watches a lot of cartoons all of the time. So if there's a cartoon out there from like pretty much, I would say 2000 onwards, I have probably seen all of it. So that is my experience with Carmen Sandiego's. Just it's a cartoon, and I saw like I think what I usually gauge for cartoons is if I see in like an Instagram or Tumblr fan account post about it, I assume it's at least worth like one watch.
That's very valid. I just found like the Tumblr community for Carmen Sandiego because I'm not on Tumblr anymore, but it is robust, and it's really tempted me to go back because people are saying some really cool stuff and like comparing it to the video games and stuff, which is very interesting.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Tumblr is, I think that's where like the most of the Carmen Sandiego fans are, because like they're not a lot of other places. Like on Instagram, there's like one account that I follow, but it's like a multi-fandom account. So that doesn't even really count. Twitter, there's quite a few, but like I think Twitter's basically Tumblr at this point. But anyway, so I know I have some very mixed yet violent emotions about the series. But you've just like recently binged through all of it. But what are your thoughts? I want to know where you're at.
I'm really going back and forth, honestly. I think that there are so many parts of the show that were really good. I mean, first of all, the art style, fucking mwah, the art style was very beautiful. And I loved it. I also really liked the music. And I thought that the settings were really interesting. I think that they could have done better with some of them, but overall, like very interesting. But man, the characters, oh man, the character arcs, oh man. It just like I love these characters because they made me love them, and then they really messed them up.
Yeah.
Just over and over again. Especially Graham.
Oh my god.
Oh my
well,
god.
I kind of had the opposite thing with Graham. Not Graham. Oh, we're talking about, okay, Graham and Devino I always get mixed up in my head. They're just like, yeah, but Graham, yeah, oh my god, they ruined him. Or I was about to be like, well, I had the opposite, because with Devino, I like hated him with a passion. But then in the last season, I was like, oh, okay. But like Graham, yeah, oh my god, that was just brutal. I've been waiting to talk about this in season 2. After season 2, I was initially, because I binged it when just seasons 1 and 2 were out. And at first I was going to make a video then being like, I have very mixed emotions about Carmen Sandiego. I was like, no. And then when I saw that season 4 was going to be the last one, I'm like, right, full series review. This is the chance. Let's go. Let's bring on someone else who's just as passionate about this as me, because Isaac doesn't care. He's never
He is
seen it.
missing out. He is missing
all
out.
all he knows of Carmen Sandiego is that that's the woman who I'm like talking about constantly. I'm like, Isaac, I would die for Carmen Sandiego. You don't understand. So I think he's been
so
turned
fair.
off by it from me being a
He's
simp.
scared.
I mean, I think that is true because like the art and music are amazing. Like those two departments did like above and beyond. It's just that's originally why I like clicked on it. I was like, this is like way different from like everything else. But then you have like the writing department, which or maybe just kind of coming in there to like, I don't know, do the bare minimum.
I feel like they had a lot of ideas that started off really strong and then just finished, like they just fizzled out. I feel that way about all of season 4. Like I thought that it started so well. I just remember watching the first episode and being like, oh my gosh, is this like, we're really like ending with a bang. And then it just went steadily down and down and down. And then the last episode was, no, no.
I'm so upset because my bingo card, I got 4 things correct on my bingo card because I'm excluding the free space. Because I had the audacity to believe that the writers were going to like do something big for the final season. So I was making big predictions. I'm like, it's gonna get crazy. And nothing did. Nothing happened. It was just like every other season, except for at the end, Vile got caught. Like it, and so I was out here being like, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, everyone's gonna die, you're gonna fake your own death, and none of that happened.
I think that those were all great predictions, though, because there were so many moments where it seemed like someone was going to die. It
Do
seemed
you
like
know how
Graham was
excited
gonna die.
I was when Shadowsand was about to die in that cave?
No!
I was like,
No!
I'm right! I was right!
Or Coach Brunt. Like, I thought Coach Brunt was going to die. How did she survive? How did she survive?
No. Don't know. My face is so red, which is not helping with any of this. It's not even hot in my room. I'm just like upset. They're so close. They're so close. That's what like gets me about this. It's like kind of similar to like Monster Carnival with Poptropica. It's like you're so close. Like you're right there. Like you have everything there to make something really good and you're just like not doing it. Like I don't know what's holding you back, but like it's literally you have what you need to make a great show and you're just like not going through with it. And I don't know why.
I was going to ask you about that because I have one theory or just like one. So one part of the show that I find really interesting is that it's a kid show. And whenever like the intro plays and it says Y7, I'm always like, this is not appropriate for like a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old. There is no way that a kid could watch this. Like, I mean, I'm sure that there are kids out there who are watching it, but like it's extremely violent. Like it is really dark. But I wonder if maybe that rating is what holds them back from permanently killing any characters or from doing the things that we want them to see, you know?
Here's the thing. I do agree with that. That could be it. But I'm pretty sure Steven Universe also has a Y7 rating, and Steven, the main character, murders someone. So I don't think I'm like 90% sure. Let me look it up. What age rating? Okay, 10. Okay, well, there we go. That makes sense. That makes a bit more sense. But like, I don't know because like, I mean, most Pixar movies are like you or like, and the people die in that. I don't think that's what necessarily stopped it from doing death. I think that's definitely what stopped them from doing the whole taking down ACME as though they're also a villain. Because I was ready for that. I was like, get them. And then no.
ACME was never redeemed. I don't know why they still, I completely agree. Why were they still around by the end?
And like, if like Chief murdered Carmen's father, that's like a trope in like fiction to like get revenge on whoever killed your father. That's a whole thing. The Princess Bride is a movie just about that. So like if there is ever a character that is completely okay for you to make your main villain, it is Chief. It is the like murderer of your main character's father. And like she never learns to trust Carmen Sandiego, by the way. Throughout the whole series, she's just like, I don't trust Carmen Sandiego. I don't trust her. I don't trust her. And by the very end, that's when she does. By the very end. Like she never goes on this arc like Julia did, Devino did, even Devino did. Chief never learned to trust Carmen Sandiego and just in the end got her wish of taking down Vile anyway.
I think that's such a good point that Chief never, what's that vine? When will you learn your actions have consequences? It's not that. She didn't learn her actions had consequences.
No, she didn't. And she didn't even find Carmen's mother. Carmen was like, you know what you can do to make this up to me? Find my mother. And she's just like, hey, Julia, find your girlfriend's mother. But it's not actually your girlfriend. It's just queer bait. Okay, we're going to talk about Carmen and Julia in a bit. But like, I want to stick on this ACME stuff. Because throughout the whole series, like, well, specifically seasons 1 through 3, there's like this like weird morality love triangle of sorts. I don't call it a love triangle, but like, so there's Carmen. All right, so we have like Carmen, who's stealing from Vile, who's stealing from actual people. So ACME are trying to stop Vile, but ACME are also the police, so they're also trying to stop Carmen. So Carmen's trying to stop ACME while she's also trying to stop Vile. Meanwhile, Vile's also trying to stop ACME. So like everyone's just trying to stop each other from doing stuff. And it's like, well, I know we should be rooting for Carmen, but it feels like we should also be rooting for ACME because technically they're the law, but then also like all the characters in Vile are the most likable people, so I kind of want to be rooting for them. And then also, here's my thing. Carmen, I don't understand what Carmen is stealing. Like, I get she's like stealing stuff before ACME can, but then she's just giving it back. But then also, she has the money to like buy plane tickets for her to go literally anywhere, anytime. So clearly she is stealing stuff at some point. She funded like a whole building for herself, a car and everything. A drone. She has a custom drone.
I feel like a writer in the writer's room was like, how do we bring this into the 21st century? You know, we have Carmen Sandiego from the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. How is she going to be from 2019? Drone. Put a drone in there.
And it's like, also, it's like, they had this like thing of like, well, how do we make the thief the main character and like someone who's okay for kids to look up to? Because you can't just be like robbing people. And so obviously they were trying to do the Robin Hood thing where it's like steal from the rich, give to the poor, but then also keep some for yourself so you can buy a whole warehouse and a drone. But then also like, it doesn't make any sense because she's not stealing from the rich, she's stealing from the people who are stealing from the rich and then giving it back to the rich. So
it's true. How often does Carmen actually immediately impact like the everyday citizen? Because
almost never. Only when she's like saving someone from Vile because she brought Vile there.
Exactly. And it's like, I think that there's, and I'm a little biased because I have worked in museums and I'm going into the museum field, but the representation of museums in this show is very interesting, and how, you know, there's this whole plot line with Carmen returning things to their rightful owners. But then also we have to talk about, why are those artifacts in these museums to begin with? Because they were stolen and put there. So like, Carmen, actually, shouldn't you be returning those artifacts to like the people, like specifically colonized countries? When you're in Europe going through these art museums, like those things actually don't belong there. But
yeah, I was gonna ask you about this because I know you're a museum person, but that makes it sound like you like live in a museum.
I was gonna say I wish, but I feel like that would be really cold.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was gonna say. Like most of the time, museums doesn't belong to you either. You also stole it.
Exactly.
And it's like this weird thing of like, well, she wants to go against the law clearly because she's like going behind their back to steal stuff, but also like justice in some way. It's so strange because what they could have done is they could have just made Carmen like a vigilante who just is good at stealing things. And could have even done the whole thing. She used to be a thief, realized that was bad, and now instead of stealing from your like I don't know, comic book villain, which I know Vile is from the games and stuff, so you have to kind of include them. But like maybe instead of have them being like almost cartoonish, well, it is a cartoon, but like this like ridiculous set of villains, maybe it's like a secret society of just like powerful people in the world, which I guess is teaching kids like the Illuminati is real and we should be actively trying to fight them, which maybe isn't like the best, but I feel like if it was like Carmen trying to like expose something rather than being like, nope, these are the objective bad people who I am going to take from. Like, it's not setting up any, like,
I completely agree. I know exactly what you're talking about because the show is it is that triangle between who is morally right and who's morally wrong, and then there's some people in the gray area, and then some people are flipping back and forth. But it's also I feel like there was some real potential with some of the characters to talk about how they're connected to institutional issues. So like with Cleo, she was clearly part of archaeology or like museums. Like she was obsessed with jewels, right? And I'm thinking about the last season where she went on site to the pyramids. Like she had to have some kind of connection to be able to do that. So we could venture a guess and say she's involved with like museums or something like that. And then Roundabout, he has to be the villain that I feel the most strongly about because he is literally in the police. Like he
yeah,
is literally part of the police force. And I feel like they really teased at the idea that there could be some people in the police that are bad, but they shied away from it at the last second.
I know. They were like, well, it's not really true because the other police, they're the good cops, so they got rid of him. It's this whole thing where it's like who is objectively bad? Like who can be, which is not a thing because I watch a lot of like kids cartoons. And like even then like I would say the biggest one would be Avatar the Last Airbender, where it's like there's two sides of the war, but when you meet people from the Fire Nation, they're good people, they're nice people. So it's like showing like even if someone is objectively bad, there are still good people in there. And then you even get to Ozai, which like and like Zuko. Zuko's from the Fire Nation, he like turns good. So it's like showing like there's nuance in this and in everything, which like Carmen Sandiego is like, nope, you are objectively evil. Unless you're Leshev and El Topo, in which case you get a gay taco truck and you can just live it out.
I want to visit that gay taco truck immediately.
I love them. They're just like they find this rare historical artifact and they're like, oh, it's shiny.
That was maybe one of the best scenes in season 4 is when they
that,
took a selfie together.
that was so cute and I loved it.
Yeah, they are so sweet. I think that they are definitely one of the bastions. One their relationship is one of the best parts of the show, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm like every time I see them, like, and I'm like, oh, they're here, because it's like everyone in Vile, even though they're trying to paint everyone in Vile as like the bad guys, all of the people in Vile are like way more likable characters than anyone else in the show. Like, I love Zach and Ivy, but like I would much rather watch like the faculty of Vile just like bicker all day than I would watch Zach and Ivy just like talk about Boston for the millionth time. Cause they do it every episode. Like your whole personality cannot be, I'm from Boston. It's
Wait,
not
Zach and Ivy are from Boston? They're from Boston?
You didn't know that? It was subtle. It was subtle. They had very
Yeah.
subtle accents. You couldn't really tell.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that the Vile faculty are they're so interesting, and just like the Vile school in general, like you want to hear about the other like villains that are in training. You
I
want to see
know.
like what they do, because for all of the issues that this show has in writing and follow through, the world building within Vile is very good. It's
It's
very good.
oh, because I like everyone has a unique thing, and you would think you would eventually run out of things, but like everyone gets a unique thing. I loved Paper Star. I loved Paper Star, and I wish we got more of Paper Star because like she had such a cool outfit and such a cool gimmick of like origami, and like paper can hurt you. I have suffered too many paper cuts. Paper's dangerous. Like, but just everything's so interesting about it. And then the whole like faculty system where it's like, we're an evil league, but we will still provide you classes and housing and loving friendships. And like, it's almost like, well, why are these the bad guys? They're just trying to make money. It's capitalism. You can't blame them. So what? They want to have a cool school where you can like, I don't know, make friends and learn origami.
Sign me up. I want to make friends and make origami.
I know. They don't even hurt people. Like, they don't hurt people. They wipe people's memories. Instead of just killing people, they just wipe their memories. Like, they don't ever like take hostages or anything. They're just stealing from rich people. They are just stealing from rich people. So like, honestly, because like in the games, doesn't Carmen run Vile? Isn't that like?
I honestly could not tell you.
I think someone in the comments of the last video said Carmen originally like was in charge of Vile in like the game show or whatever. So like, because like the game show, I think that's where it started.
From what I understand, it's 1986 was the first Carmen. Like it was the first video game, and then there were 4 games, and then there was the game show. I think I might be wrong though.
Okay, I thought there was like maybe a board game before the game show. Isaac, that blew his mind because he just thought Carmen Sandiego was like a new cartoon. So when I was like, no, it was a board game and a game show, he was like, what? Like what?
I think, not to get on my little educational entertainment soapbox or anything, but I think that Carmen Sandiego is a really interesting example of how educational entertainment can turn into a giant franchise and then be rebooted. Because like we've seen that with Magic School Bus.
Oh my God.
It's been rebooted twice, but
was Magic School Bus a board game?
I don't think so. Get Isaac on that now.
You'd be like, if it's not Lovecraft, I don't know.
Yeah, right. I think that Magic School Bus could be a cool board game. I would play that. But I think that Carmen Sandiego proves that you can make a really lasting franchise that's also educational. That being said, I have some issues with the educational aspect of Carmen Sandiego, the cartoon. I think that sometimes it's really shallow and it seems like it's just sort of shoved in there. But season 4 did a good job. I thought that season 4 was one of the best educationally.
Well, there was a while ago, like around season 2 on like the Carmen Sandiego Reddit. I'm going to take my hat off because this is ridiculous. Okay, so on the Carmen Sandiego Reddit, someone asked, has Carmen Sandiego like done an episode about your country, and if so, was it accurate? Because and like so many people were like, no, it was literally just stereotypes. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then in season 3 there was a Britain one. They went to England, and fun fact, even though I sound American, I live in England, and it was about Guy Fawkes Day, which obviously I've lived through.
Wow, you were there at the original Guy Fawkes
Yes,
Day.
I am Guy Fawkes. Anyway, but then when they went to England, it was just like, I was like, oh my God, yeah, this is literally just stereotypes. Like roundabout every time he speaks, I don't know, maybe I just don't talk to posh people, but like I wanted to strangle him. So maybe that would be true if I like met someone from London. I live in the north. We hate the south of here. We were just like, you're from London, get out. But anyway, with Guy Fawkes Day, like everyone was like wearing masks and doing all these things. And I'm like, no one does that. Guy Fawkes Day right now is literally people go into a park, they get drunk, and they set off fireworks. And that's it. Because like, but obviously you want to like do like a kid-friendly version of that. So maybe exclude the drinking. But like still, it's mostly just fireworks. Like think of like the 4th of July in America, except for it's colder because it's November. Like that's Guy Fawkes Day. And so I'm like watching this episode, I'm like, no one does this. This is like, and then also of course it's set in London, which like everything about England is set in London, I guess.
No, I completely resonate with everything that you're saying because I'm also a Northern Englander. And so, because my family's from Yorkshire. So, yeah, it's so frustrating that, I mean, so many countries in the show got pigeonholed into their capitals or like significant cities. I felt the same way about the Netherlands episode because I was
Oh,
born in the Netherlands. And if you didn't know, the Netherlands is a very small country. There are a lot of people in it. It's very compact, but
very dense.
yeah, it's a very dense country, but there isn't a lot of media about it because a lot of people in the Netherlands stay in the Netherlands. There aren't a lot of immigrants. So when I saw that there was an episode, I was super excited. I was like overjoyed. And maybe I'm a little biased because it was my country, but I feel like they didn't speak about it at all. Like they really, because the plot was that they were going to a museum and it was a Dutch painter, but they literally didn't talk about Dutch
I
culture
think the
at
fact that
all.
I don't even remember what episode you're talking about that they were in the Netherlands proves your point because I don't even remember them going to the Netherlands. I like have a vague memory of them being in Europe for a while cuz Carmen almost died in Stockholm. That's all I remember. So the fact that I can't even like pinpoint which episode took place in the Netherlands, I think proves your point exactly.
Yeah, they because one of the like speaking about stereotypes, there are loads of Dutch stereotypes you could draw on. Like we eat a lot of potatoes, we eat a lot of cheese. Everybody rides a bike. And there was no bike chase scene. That was right in front of them. Come on, you could have had a chase scene on a bike, but they didn't.
No, I think that like really because like the Australia episode, I remember exactly what happened because like they made a whole point about them like going with that plane and stuff and like it was a plane. Oh, maybe I just don't remember the show, but like I kind of like feel like that because like usually what countries they make a point to like do something about that country as the caper, whereas like I don't even like remember it was the painter. Was it the one where she had to like steal all the paintings like in the round
Yes.
room? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like
I,
when they went to Egypt, they went to the pyramids. Like I'm obviously gonna remember which
yeah.
episode was in Egypt. Now I feel robbed of a bike chase scene. That would have been so fun.
I think there was so much comic potential with a bike chase scene too. I imagine like Shadow-san on a bike possibly. Like I feel like for some reason my headcanon is that Zach can't ride a bike, so he has to like run along. Like there were so many possibilities there.
Was Devin on that episode? Was he there?
I think so, but honestly I don't
Yeah, he
remember.
was forgettable during that time. But like him, like riding a bike into a lake
Yes.
would have been
Well,
great.
there are canals all around the Netherlands, so he could have literally gone
Oh,
into the canal like
so much. Yeah, I feel like that's just a running theme of the show. Is just like it's right there. The potential is right there, and you just like fail to follow through with it because like, all right, this is conspiracy theory brain. No, it's not. It's not a conspiracy theory. I think it's just true. But like with like other cartoons of the 2010s era, I'm gonna go with the 2010s era because the 2020s cartoons have just begun. But like with you have cartoons like Adventure Time and Steven Universe and Avatar, which was technically before 2010, so we'll just say Legend of Korra. You have all of these cartoons who are now breaking the kids' cartoon format and doing overarching narratives throughout the whole series. And so I feel like they were like, hey, let's reboot Carmen Sandiego and do it like that. Let's try and get what these guys had. But like, okay, so like when I first was getting into the She-Ra fandom, I was hearing so much about the creator Noelle Stevenson and how like involved they were with the fandom. Same thing with Steven Universe and Rebecca Sugar. You always hear about the creators of these shows like being involved in the fandom. I have no idea who created Carmen Sandiego. No clue. No clue. Not one. I know whoever runs their Instagram likes to post people's stories to their story, but that's kind of it. So it's like this clearly wasn't anyone's like child. Like no one labored over Carmen Sandiego trying to make sure that they were doing it right. Like Noelle Stevenson, when we're watching the original She-Ra, like was like studying every character, like rewatching it loads of times. And then if you look at the reboot, it is completely different because this is like someone's creative child. And I feel like that wasn't the case for Carmen Sandiego. It was just a bunch of people trying to recreate what had already been created and had proven to be successful.
I completely agree. I think that Carmen Sandiego, we have no way of knowing how much money was behind this, but I would venture a guess to say it was probably a lot.
Yeah,
It was probably
visually,
a lot of
like
money.
you can tell like this was funded. Like, oh my god. So, turns out it actually wasn't funded that well, or at least it wasn't funded properly, because I was just wrapping up editing and James sends me this article. In creating Carmen Sandiego for Netflix, some of the animation work was sent over to Top Draw, a Filipino animation company that specifically worked on the series. A whistleblower, I don't know how to say that, from Top Draw revealed that he was fired from the project after demanding proper compensation, previously allegedly received less than a minimum wage for labor.
Definitely. And it's like you said, it's a proven success. This is a franchise that has been around since the late 80s. So I think that the show's creators knew that they could bring in kids to watch this because it was following this proven cartoon method like you're talking about with the 2010s. But also, I think that they were banking on some kind of nostalgia from parents who had possibly played the video games.
Yes.
So and then I was also going to say the Carmen Sandiego franchise is owned by a really big educational company. And so I think that that's probably why we don't have a lot of faces and names, because from what I understand, a lot of educational entertainment, they do not put their creators' faces. They don't connect creators as people to franchises because they want it to be like this. I don't know what I'm saying. I feel like educational
They want it to be
franchises.
like a mystery. Like they don't want like this isn't like John's company, this is the blank company.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also just so big. I think we have no idea how many people were probably involved with the making of this show.
Yeah. I mean, I know like the whoever directed the art won like an Emmy for like the visuals on the show. So like we know her name and face cuz like and like she obviously deserved it cuz the show is beautiful. Like I mean, we haven't talked about that much cuz we're mostly just complaining, but like I think that's just an obvious statement. Like the show is beautiful. But yeah, there's just not a lot of like people we can attach to this. So like it is weird because it like almost does these things that other shows do, but it just misses it by just such a slight margin because it doesn't have that like creative person behind it being like, and this is how everything's going to come together and this is the story I want to tell. It's just a bunch of people being like, right, we got to reboot Carmen Sandiego again, how are we going to do it?
I think that there was a real potential, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, for like behind the scenes information about how it ties in with the video games or with the past parts of the franchise, because I would love to be in the writers room or like the creative direction of and hearing about how they saw the original source material and turned it into something new. That would have been so interesting, but it's just not there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was involved with the Sheer fandom for like a while because that was like my main hyperfixation of 2019. No, 2020. But like, and Noelle Stevenson talks so much about that. So much about adapting a cartoon in the 80s that was like kind of misogynistic into like a very girl power queer cartoon. And then with like Carmen Sandiego, it's like we can kind of guess how they got from point A to point B. Like they clearly wanted to make Carmen like a good guy. So by making her like a vigilante thief, but then also like keeping everything still there cuz like all the characters were characters in the original games and stuff. But they didn't even change them that much. I think they mostly just changed designs and they didn't even change everyone's design. Like so they pretty much just changed from what I can see because I've been looking through the fan wiki, which is incredibly detailed. It's we love our fan wikis, but what I can see, they pretty much just changed the story and like which characters knew who and like who were friends. That's kind of it. And that's all I can see that has changed. And that's disappointing because like you do have creative liberties to change things. Like that is possible. Like She-Ra and Catra were not dating in the original She-Ra cartoon. That was 1000% just like a new thing that they added that worked, because you can add things when you reboot something.
I think a strength, since we've been complaining so much, I will say that a strength of Carmen Sandiego, the cartoon, is that there wasn't an overwhelming romance presence. There wasn't an overwhelming need to have romantic relationships. I was worried when I first started watching it. I thought that they were hinting at Graham and Carmen getting together, which I always felt really uncomfortable with because I thought it was obvious there was an age difference there. But it never happened. And then I was worried about Devino and Jules. Never happened. Like, I will totally give props to the show and the creators for not shoving romance in our faces when it was unnecessary.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't see the age gap. I thought she was younger than Graham. I didn't think she was like significantly younger. What I found weird is when I discovered the Carmen Sandiego fandom is there were people who shipped Carmen and Player, who we know have a big age difference. Yes. Yes. Like, I think, like, Player, even by the end of the series, by season 4, where we know Carmen's like 21 or something, Player's in a school that we see has like small children in it. Like, he's in like a K through 8 school or something. Like, he's like still a child. And like when they meet in real life, she's buying him burger and fries like he's at a Happy Meal. Like, and she's like, "You're my best friend." And I'm like, "Carmen, you need friends your age." This kid can't even wear pants to school. He's wearing gym shorts. If he's wearing basketball shorts, he's not mature enough to be your friend.
You know what? I 100% agree. Carmen said, "Oh, be friends with a freshman in high school instead of the 2 adult friends I have." Like, she's like, "Oh, let me." She made the decision to leave Zach and Ivy, but continue being friends with Player.
Don't
Huh?
like, I understand why you work with him because he is like a prodigy of like hacking and stuff and clearly knows things. And I guess he's semi-mature, but like the kid has 4 monitors in his bedroom. He's like, and he wears the same thing every day, which like I get that they all do, but like he didn't even change clothes for his first day of school. He didn't change out of his like loungewear to go to school. We also never learned his real name, which I was pissed about. We learned his last name, which doesn't count. I was also about the meeting. So that was one of the things I predicted would happen, was that they would meet in real life, and they did. And it was cute when it happened. I was like, "Oh, they finally met after all this time working together." But so Player was about to get on the bus. He was leaving school to get on the bus, but he misses the bus, and that's when he finds Carmen. So what would have done? What was her plan if he had gotten on the bus successfully? Did she know he was gonna be late? Like, what was gonna happen if she just sees him get on the bus and drive away? Like,
She's running after.
Wait, you weren't supposed to do that. And he was like, what do you mean I wasn't supposed to do that? Go home?
I think I'm concerned about Player's home life because his parents sound really weird. No offense to them,
Yeah.
but like there was a bug infestation at the school and they were like, "It's not safe anymore." Like, are they okay? Like, what is going on there?
I think it's just because like they clearly never were ever planning on making players' characters like players' parents' characters. But that is weird. They're like, our child is such a recluse. He sits in his room with all of his lights off every single day, talking to adults. They don't know he's talking to like a 50-year-old Japanese man who's like about to rob someone, but that's what he does. And they're just like, "Oh, he needs to go to real school," which I understand, because like one of my cousins, she was homeschooled like for like elementary school, but then it was like, okay, let's get her socialized, and I think she's fine now. Let's hope. Hi, Clara, if you're watching this, I hope you're okay. I feel like, as from like a writing perspective, like him going to school didn't need to happen. Because if that was going to be like an ongoing issue for like the whole of the season, that I would understand, where it's like they need to like get rid of Player. But like he was only in school for like 1 episode. Like that only affected it for like 1 episode. And then also they got into Canada real fast. Like everyone's travel times in the show are amazing, but like I'm not gonna like count that against it. It's if it's a show where you're traveling the world, sure, you have the fastest plane in the world. Let's go with that. But they did the same thing with Shadow Sand. They were like, "Oh, let's break his leg to like not have to worry about him for a couple of episodes. Maybe pay his voice actor slightly less."
I wonder if this season was supposed to be longer, and that's why so many of these things feel rushed and unfinished, because there were so many little plot points that were introduced and then they were wrapped up within one episode or within two episodes, and it felt confusing and it was like, what is going on? And so I wonder if with two more episodes it would have felt more complete and it would have made more sense. I wonder what the financial and political reasons for them shortening the season were. I don't know if maybe Netflix was upset with them. Maybe they weren't getting as many viewers as they were expecting, or they just didn't have the budget. I'm not sure, but I think that that was one of the big reasons that it struggled, was because it was only 8 episodes.
Yeah, I think I can say this because our videos aren't monetized anyway, but the pandemic probably had something to do with it. Because season 3 released during, like, right in the middle of it, like around summer-ish. And like it released and it was only 6 episodes. And at first I wasn't thinking the pandemic because the exact same thing happened going back to She-Ra. But She-Ra season 3 and 4 each were only 6 episodes. So it was clear, because everything else was 12. So it was clear that they were supposed to be one season. Because like season 3 didn't even end on like a big battle like it usually does. So like if you watch them as one season, it makes more sense. So it's clear that they wanted to release it as one season, but then they wanted to like rebuild hype in the show, so they just released the half that was done. So when season 3 came out, I was like, oh, this is like She-Ra, and so season 4 is only going to be 5 more episodes because this was just supposed to be one season, but then they just like. So I'm thinking that's probably what happened, because the last 2 episodes are so removed from the previous 6 that I feel like it was supposed to be just those 6 with the 6 from season 3 as one season, and then they just tacked 2 on the end to like wrap it up. That's what I think happened, because the same thing happened with She-Ra. But the thing is, with She-Ra, after season 4, they technically only had 3 seasons, and then they did another one to like actually wrap it up. What they didn't do that here, they just did their other half of season 3 plus 2 more episodes that were just like not even involved.
I think I will not be taking the last 2 episodes as canon. I will be erasing them. I am going to go into the show and get Dr. Bellum's memory thingy, and I'm going to erase my memory so I don't have to remember the ending.
I like, because I hate the implication that the way to make someone a criminal is you have to erase their empathy.
Yes, thank you. We need to talk about that, Theo. We need to talk about that.
We need to talk about that. Like, no, that's just a falsehood. Like, if they had said, we just got rid of Carmen's memory, that's why she's with us now, she doesn't like remember you or anything, so it's just like we reset her back to episode 1, then I would have been like, okay, sure, this is weird, but okay. But the fact that they specifically said the words, the way that we got her to be on our side was we erased her empathy, we like discontinued it or whatever, I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't say that. Because, like, well, Lechev and El Topo, you saying they don't have empathy? They don't have empathy? Those 2 big sweetheart boys, they don't have any empathy because they're stealing things? Like, Tigress, I'll give you.
I hate her. I hate Tigress.
I don't like her at all. Although when she was, like, afraid of those bugs and, like, freaking out, I was like, I relate to this.
I felt really bad for her. I remember
horrible.
I watched that and I was like, is this Scared Straight? I was like, dang.
But like you saw how happy Dr. Bellum was when she made those robots. You're telling me she's like this like empty, hollow, like, I don't know, psychopath, but that's an outdated term.
I understand that a big part of Carmen's character is that she has empathy, because that's why she turns to the good side apparently in season 1 when she meets the archaeologist, and she's like, oh my gosh, I feel for you and I feel how important this history is to you and to your people. And that's great. I love that. I think it's really powerful. But then to say that people don't have empathy, or to say that people who don't have empathy are then evil, is wrong.
Yes.
And it also demonizes people who have a hard time relating to others. Like
Yes.
there are loads of what's it called? There are loads of mentally ill people who don't have empathy for others, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that they're criminals
They're not
or that they're
like
evil.
they're not gonna like throw you off the top of a Ferris wheel. They're just gonna
Yeah.
maybe like not like behave like a neurotypical person would. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Like, it's ridiculous. It's this whole like Shane Dawson, Jake Paul thing all over again, where Shane Dawson was like, he's a sociopath, and then, which that's not even a term used in the like mental health field anyway, because Katie Morton is horrible, but we're not talking about that. Then all these people who are like, well, I'm a sociopath. Am I a bad person then? Just because I don't feel empathy, I can't control that. And it's just like, it's going back to this whole like police narrative of just like, there's the bad guys and they're just bad, and we have to get them because they're bad. Even though it like tries to go against that, but well, look, Chief's a murderer. So it's like, clearly you know that it's more than just that, but can't say that.
I think that on a positive note, I really liked the fact that Shadow-san was using a wheelchair in the last episode. I would have liked to see him leave the building with the wheelchair, but I thought that it was nice that there was some wheelchair representation, and that in all, he didn't seem like he had a lot of shame about it, which it was nice. It was a surprise. I was like, hey, this is really nice to see that there is a character who we understand as being really strong and resilient is in a wheelchair. And of course, the whole thing with Zach, like caring for him, was kind of played up for laughs, but I don't know. I did like that because there wasn't a ton of disability representation in the show.
Although mostly when you like talk about disability representation in children's media, it's usually just one kid in a wheelchair. It's never more than that. Maybe they'll have someone who's deaf, but like, this is a fun. I'm gonna shout out the Dragon Prince because I cannot stop talking about the Dragon Prince. In the Dragon Prince, have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Well, I'm gonna get you hooked on it.
Okay.
The general is General Amaya, and she is deaf and she doesn't speak. She speaks through sign language, and her like right-hand man is her interpreter. And so like he speaks for her. And it's like great. And so like the main characters, because she's their aunt, so he's like talking to her in sign language. And like there's one really cute scene at the end where basically she gets captured by like the queen of something. I'm not gonna say too much because you have to watch it. But she gets captured by the queen, and by the end, she's like speaking to her nephew in sign language, being like, I think she likes me. We need to get on the same page. But she just says it in sign language and no one says it out loud. So it's like a little Easter egg.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow.
And like, it's never something that ever holds her back, because she's like literally one of the best fighters in the whole show. And like, so I just love the Dragon Prince intensely. There's also a blind pirate, and he wears 2 eye patches, and he's so funny.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think that Carmen Sandiego definitely could have included way more disability representation. It wouldn't have been that difficult.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to make it a central plot point. You can just have a character with a disability.
Yeah, when like in the Dragon Prince, when she showed up in like episode like 2 or 3 and was just speaking in sign language and had her friend Grell, I think his name is Grell. No, Grell's from Black Butler. What am I talking about?
I did not need to hear that name again. Oh my God, Black Butler.
They're just both ginger. I'm sorry. Okay, in my defense, his name is Gren, which is like unbelievably similar. Anyway, but like she just shows up like speaking sign language and doing it as commands to soldiers. It's just like I was like, oh my God. But yeah, so that's just me like saying like children's media, because the Dragon Prince I think is like a TV 8. So it's like children's media is absolutely capable of like showing more.
And speaking of educational franchises, the original 90s Magic School Bus has a character. He's not a main character, but he's Carlos's brother, and he uses a wheelchair. And there's an entire episode where he gets transported inside of a computer, and it's a 90s era computer. So it's very interesting,
I think
like
I've
historically.
seen this. I think I've seen this episode.
I love this episode. And he's like riding around the computer, and he's like doing
oh my god,
something.
I've seen this, and it's like a big computer chip.
Yes, yeah.
I've seen this.
But then all of the students from the school, all of our favorite main characters, ride skateboards, and so there are a few sentences that Miss Frizz says that are like, you know, why walk when you can ride, or like, see, we can go fast. Like, there's all of this stuff that's normalizing the fact that Carlos's brother uses a wheelchair. And you know, I use that example as a 90s educational TV show. They could have done that in Carmen Sandiego too.
Yeah. It maybe would have been cool if like just something, just anything, just give me something. Yeah. But that's kind of how I feel with like the queer baiting with Carmen and Julia, because like they went all out for it into Steal or Not to Steal or whatever that's called. I think it's called that, but like
yeah.
They like that was not just me. Because like so many people ship it. I think the ship name is Jewel Thief, which that's a really good ship name. Like that's the best ship name I've ever heard.
Yeah, literally.
It's a pun and a ship name. Like they were clearly queer baiting with that. And I said that in my predictions. I was like, it's not going to happen. And it didn't. And that was one of the only things I got right. Which I'm kind of disappointed about. But like, although, I mean, I can't speak on this, but like, I felt like there was a lot of different body types in the show. Like, overall.
Oh, definitely. I think the art style lent itself to creating different silhouettes. I sound really pretentious saying that, but like I think
style.
No, I think because one of the things that I like about the art style so much is that it almost looks like construction paper. There's like something about it that like just like the bright like blocks of colors and
like so no outlines.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there was a lot of different body types. I wish that there had been a fat character that was good, because Coach Brunt was evil. That made me kind of sad, but she did give us like this Southern butch lesbian, and I did love that. I wish that she wasn't a villain at the same time, but like as somebody who grew up in the Midwest and the South of the US, like I have seen people that look like Coach Brunt. So and I've looked up to them. So I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I was very pleased with all of the muscular women in the show. I enjoyed that. Oh my god, we've almost been talking for an hour.
Oh shit. Okay.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Give us another season and I'll get back to you. No,
can't happen now. Let's talk about the ending, I guess. Let's finish with the ending. Yeah. What do you think about the ending where it's just like everyone gets arrested and it's okay?
Bad. I think that one of the biggest themes of this TV show is that Carmen realizes she can't work alone. She's working alone at the beginning, and then she develops this like found family with Zach and Ivy, and then also with Shadow-san, and like they have this great group dynamic. And then at the end, she decides to go off by herself again. And I feel like this is going to happen all over again, baby, because we know how you act, Carmen. Like you're destined to fail.
Yeah. I did not like Zach and Ivy being ACME agents. That just made me like, I thought it was going to end with them like going back to race car driving. And like now they had like this newfound confidence and they believed in themselves and they could do it. Like, that's how I thought they were going to go. And then they show up in these suits, and I'm like, oh, no. Get this off my screen. But, like, and it is frustrating because, like, I had 3 outcomes for Carmen's mother. Either it's going to be a twist reveal, so then it's going to be like, ooh, it blew my mind. Carmen's mother was going to be dead, and it goes back to the found family and realizing who's really her family. Or the third option, it was just going to be some random lady, and that would have been, like, the bad one. That would have been the poor writing choice, and guess what it was? It was the poor writing choice. which, like, they honestly should have had Carmen's mother be dead so that she could have realized the family was, like, the people around her. Like, I thought that that's what was going to be the conclusion drawn when she found out her father was dead. But instead she was like, nope, okay, let's just find my mom. Like, and then she found her mom, and guess what? Abandoned all of her friends. Except for Player, who is still in her earpiece because he has no other friends because he didn't want to go to real school.
You can't go to school if they're termite bees, so it
I
was the
know.
safest option, okay?
It's gotta keep them safe. You can't even join a
Yeah.
club or something. Maybe do a sport. I feel like it would have been at least, like, liberating for, like, Carmen and Graham if they were the ones, because, like, to take down Vile. Instead, no, let's just have Acme do it. Chief gets her stupid little victory. She can, like, have the satisfaction.
It really was. It was, yeah, it was. I mean, Chief didn't learn anything. She didn't grow at all.
She
Her
learned
character
nothing.
stayed
Like, one of
exactly the
the
same.
main characters of the show. And Carmen didn't learn anything. It just was a loop. It was a loop. It was literally a loop. She was like, oh, I need to be on my own. Oh, no, wait, I have these great friends and this awesome support system. Oh, never mind, let's abandon them. And then Player was like, I'm a hacker.
Yeah, he really didn't learn anything. He stayed exactly the same.
No, I mean, I guess he is 14, so we'll give him a pass. But the Shadow San, I think, had the biggest arc. And Devino. I think Shadow San and Devino, with Shadow San leaving Vile and then Devino learning to trust Carmen. I think those were the two main arcs of the show. Because, like, Julia the whole time was kind of trusting Carmen just because she was smart and, like, kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah, I think I really liked Shadow San's entire story. I think that he was probably one of the strongest characters because he grew so much. I think that one of the best episodes was when he described how he was leaving Vile, because he like showed so much vulnerability. Like he talked about being really scared and like having to escape Vile. I feel like that episode really underlined like how bad Vile was and how scary it was. I loved that.
Yeah, and I love the episode of him in Japan being like, I always looked up to the samurai and hated the ninja, but guess who became the ninja? Like, that was really, and like him and his brother. I'm glad at the end he went to his brother. Like, if everyone's gonna disband, at least you, like, go to him. So I'm glad we ended talking about a thing we liked, because we have literally been talking for an hour. And by we've been talking for an hour, I mean I've been talking for an hour, and James has just been politely sitting there. Why am I like this? And I don't want to edit this down too much because we made a lot of good points and had good discussion, so this is just going to be a long video.
That's so fair. Yeah, I loved it. I love talking about it.
Yes.
I think it's a good but also really bad show.
Yeah, very, very mixed feelings. So to answer the question of the title, is Carmen Sandiego good? We'll see. Yeah, all of James's links will be in the description, and if all goes well, hopefully on screen. Yeah, and then you're also making a video about Carmen Sandiego, which will talk more about the propaganda. Is that the word?
Yes.
Yes, so that's why we didn't talk about it much here, because there's a whole nother video, and it may or may not be up around this time. Probably not. It's gonna take a lot of work, so, but you should go subscribe so that when it does come up, you may see it.